if you crashed our training at our little church gym where we practice it in South Minneapolis, this is what you would see. Okay, a little bit of a history lesson. I promise this won't be long and boring, but it's pretty interesting because it has to do with Japanese feudal culture, with the Middle Ages, things like that. Japanese Middle Ages. People are wearing kimono, hakama. Some of the people are wearing swords while they walk and talk around in the world. 7% of samurai, or 7% of the Japanese population were samurai, which is the feudal war kind of thing, or something like that, if you follow medieval culture. Here's what happened. For about 200 years, between about 1400 and 1600, Japan was in a constant civil war. Just war, fighting, bombarding castles, attacking. They were even using muskets back in that day from Portugal, believe it or not. But around 1610, three major generals got together and they stopped the civil war and they instituted peace across the entire country. So, great for people not dying, but suddenly you have a giant portion of your population that are trained warriors that no longer have a job. You're also living in a culture that is very, very obsessed with the trappings of hierarchy and feudalism and honor and things like that. So, this population of samurai held their swords and their sword fighting as a version of who they were as who they were as rank. They were allowed to keep these things on their person, even though they used to be held for centuries and then became wizards of rice barrel supply chain logistics. So, you had 7% of the population that was open carrying weapons, and they were allowed to, and it was just part of what they did, and now you have our problem. How are we going to stop these people that are open carrying weapons, especially in a culture where they're allowed to have them, in a culture where you can't incite violence or you get into lots and lots of trouble, and a culture where killing somebody is a super bad thing. Even killing somebody in pursuit of them is a super bad thing. After Calvin finishes this year, we're going to take a look at a little bit of another action that takes place in free practice. They're doing right now is called Kihon practice. Kihon is just like basic techniques and strikes. What AJ is going to do right now is called a kata. A kata is a series of choreographed preset strikes where this dude, he's always going to win. In our tradition, this dude always wins. We have 64 of these movements in different degrees of difficulty. Looks relatively simple. There's a whole lot more going on there that I'm happy to discuss as we look at some of the more
It used to be covered in like.
Thank you, AJ. We'll move on to Calvin doing another one of these prescribed techniques. AJ found out about us over there a year ago. Put a little thing on our note card and I got in touch and he's been at it for quite a while.
No.
Calvin had to do it, he's my son.
Yeah. And his wife is Emily, who's standing next to
He made a
Tom.
choice. He made a choice. So we'll see if he sticks with it, and if he doesn't, that's okay.
And they are both, or Emily is in Mutokai as well. It's nice to have a girl.
Now,
Although she's all by herself.
Just do any
She's a good sport.
Now the story. All right, the stage has been set. We have this world of samurai open carrying. We have this world of samurai who have lost their jobs. What you have now are some samurai who like to just go out and duel people because they no longer have battles to win and wars to fight. They're going off and dueling. There was a samurai named Miso Gonosuke who decided to duel a whole bunch of people. He had quite a bit of skill and talent, so he decided to duel a person named Miyamoto Musashi. I don't know if that name rings a bell. Miyamoto Musashi is the top of the heap of Japanese swordsmanship. He's the most famous Japanese swordsman ever. He has won very many duels. He wrote a book. They have whole schools based on him. And Miso Gonosuke dueled him, and he lost. But he took that loss in stride, and what he did was he decided to meditate on his loss and think about how he could improve the next time. What he decided to do, what he came up with, is that stick. It's a very humble stick, but it has a number of features that make it interesting as a way to stop somebody with a sword. He developed a number of techniques, and he used those techniques to duel Miyamoto Musashi again. And guess what happened when they had another duel? No one knows. The people who are Miyamoto Musashi fans say that Musashi won and that the streak was never ended. People who are Muso Gonosuke fans say that he won, and then there's people like me that they both learned something from the encounter, and they both came back at it with some additional respect, because if you look at the traditions that Miyamoto Musashi created, they have a whole lot of stick stuff in them. Even though they're sword group schools, there's a whole lot of stick stuff in them. In any case, we have our story of Muso Gonosuke, who was able to rise to some fame by using the stick, and then we have this problem of how in the world are the samurai going to be stopped when they're open carrying lethal weapons. So the Kuroda clan, a castle and a prefecture and an entire group of people in southern Japan, retained Muso Gonosuke and said, hey, help us solve this problem. So he taught the police forces of Japan. The police forces themselves were still samurai. They were just low-ranking samurai, but they definitely did not have any right to kill 500 samurai. These are really the rules in that place. Same kinds of things that would allow somebody to carry a deadly weapon. But what they allowed us to do was to develop a set of techniques to bring a stick to a sword fight and for the stick to win and to know what they do to win. So, from my perspective, take away all the weirdness of Japanese feudal culture, take away all the other trappings, you still have this one situation that is ridiculous, that shouldn't be able to happen, but it happens. This little thing is what I'm interested in the most. I happen to have ancestry that's from that island of Japan, so it's cool and special to me, but this instance here, how in the world is Thomas going to stop Emily in that case, is what interests me the most. Any questions? We're going to move on to some other stuff. Yes? Somebody asked that question at the first time. I know a gentleman who knows swords and sword sharpness and hardness much better than me, and we can talk to him. But basically, these are Japanese white bows, and katanas are sharp and they're sharp for cutting skin. That is a physically, but it actually wouldn't be able to cut through But if you miss, you sure lose a lot of fingers. So a lot of what we talk about is how to hold the hands and how to hold the grips, so you don't lose a bunch of different. Why does the Jo always have to win? Because we are learning the stimulus responses and the muscle techniques needed so that when this is a real encounter, they know what to do. So we need to train them. A lot of what you're seeing is stuff that we have to use for training. Thomas cannot practice poking Emily in the eye as hard as possible with the stick. She could do it once, but then Emily would have been able to train with us. So Thomas needs to learn the techniques associated with that, and the only way to learn that without hurting somebody is to learn as close to the successful version as possible in million times. So we're training our bodies to do a certain thing so that when we have to really do it, we're able to do that certain thing right away. Does that make sense? Great question. Okay, let's move on to showing one more kata. After Thomas finishes this Taihazu Shūchu, he's going to show us a kata called Sakan. So, this non-lethal police technique was used for about it worked. Thomas is saying, come at me, bro. He's big. Almost everything in Jo, he moves back. He's actually probably moving forward. But again, it's not something you can practice unless you want Emily to come back to us in Sunday. So we have to find a way for Thomas to learn these techniques without everybody getting hurt. But also so that he can get the training needed. Could we do the red light, green light with Sakan? Red light! Alright. Training stimulus responses. Emily is the teacher here. The person with the sword is the teacher. The person with the stick, the one who's always going to win, is the student. Emily is teaching Thomas that if I take one more step here, you are in danger of being cut. This is my one step, one cut distance. My isobuito line. Thomas has to learn that when Emily starts to stop, that he has to be ready for the next move. So Emily's going to rear up to try to cut out his inner regions. Red light. So like I was saying before, there's a decent chance. This is called Sakan. There is another version of Sakan in a hidden shadow series where you actually move forward instead of back. So a lot of these moves are going to be behind that. Green light.
Come on.
This thing is an inferior weapon to a 3-foot-long razor blade. We have to figure out how to use it perfectly to have any chance of winning this fight. So we have to train in this technique over and over again in order to give ourselves the stimulus responses to get through. Okay, let's move on to Emily and Brett showing us some other techniques. Any other questions?
Well, like I said, we'll stop by, take a class at
Correct. Yes. So the way that we put it is that right there is a weapon that could kill you by mistake. That right there is a weapon that could piss somebody off on purpose, but it won't kill anybody by mistake. So we have to be even person, no matter how skilled they are, even better than them at doing our job in order to detain them. Which is detainment and detention and stopping them. If we wanted to kill them, we'd bring a sword. But we can't bring a sword to this fight because we're police, and we're not supposed to kill the people we're pursuing. Let's do Kata Toshi, please. This is the first kata in one of our traditional sets. It showcases a whole bunch of different movements. A lot of flipping around left to right, grabbing the middle of the stick, getting to the other side of the stick. These are all things that you can't do with a sword because if you pick up a sword right here, you get cut. So we're taking advantage of the fact that we can change our distance, we can change our targeting on the fly because we have a weapon here that doesn't have a blade. That's one of our few benefits, is that it's a little bit longer and it doesn't have a blade. Okay. It's going to be that time. We are going to show you the ultra super secret technique called Hosomichi. Again, these kata are situations. We're trying to figure out how to win under these situations. This situation is called Hosomichi, which is narrow road. We are going to show you the advanced version of Hosomichi first. The first rule of Tsuta Musori Jo is the Jo never moves first. It's an inferior weapon. We can't start a fight like this. We have to bait, we have to do something, they have to move first. Because we have a longer weapon, we can move second and we can get there first. But we cannot initiate this fight because it's just it's too silly for us to try to start this way. Right. Even more advanced version of full formation. Go. There's one. Oh, it's not going to shoot. Second rule. Jo. The Jo never moves first. He just absolutely cannot do this. Even if he's adjusting the sword, he wasn't actually going for Emily. All right, let's do the third basic version of full formation. Which one first sword?
Hey.
The thing that Emily's doing right now is a version of putting away the sword. It's got no size, it's got no blade. You need to formally put it away. Any other questions? Yes. The meaning of PI. We were talking about this. For me, the meaning of PI is we have a striking PI and a thrusting PI. They depends on how esoteric you are. For me, it's just a centering because we want to learn how to. Brett is good enough that he knows how to say it and stop without getting me in the head. So he learns how to focus and when to tighten and when to release his muscles in order to make that happen. Beyond that, are you aware of any? Oh, tightens the core, coordinating those different parts of the muscles together. It sounds cool. It makes people turn you away when you're in a loud Obon. Any other questions? Yes, please. Oh. Yes, that's a great question. The question was whether you're allowed to show expression or whether you're supposed to be mysterious or nonchalant. In our tradition, we are overwhelming them with our techniques. We're not overwhelming them with being cool or by showing angry faces. As you progress in it, they want you to be neutral. There's a lot of talk about looking past the person in order to do the techniques, and it's basically what we're doing. We are vessels for the techniques. Our emotions might get in the way of it. We need to maintain the techniques. Alrighty, one last quick thing to tell you about. This dates back to the 1600s. Our goal is to maintain the tradition. We want this training session right now to look like the training sessions that happen in the courtyard of the Kuroda Castle in Fukuoka. If it isn't some approximation of it, then we are doing the wrong thing. We are doing something, we are maintaining something just for the sake of it being an artifact. We don't want to remember an artifact, we want to make sure that what we're doing has a martial purpose. So we're always working to make sure that what we're doing, what we're learning, is some grounding in its martial purpose, and that's kind of our whole jam. We just want to make sure that all this that you're seeing is real, and it has real effectiveness when you actually use it. Alright, we're going to do a little bit of bowing out, but we are basically all done here. Sit tight because you're going to see people cut stuff with real swords. We have to set up and everything.